Okay, so just to review, in week 1, day 1, we talked about the warm-up, which I recommend. I will post a video about warm-up techniques only using belly dancing techniques, but that I can post only after we've learned a few of the techniques. Until then, use Surya Namaskar, use any other form of cardio activity, even HIIT for that matter, because you would do a warm-up before you start HIIT. So do a warm-up or just do 6 rounds of Surya Namaskar, and that should have you primed to start. But just remember to do all the arm exercises as we had talked about, because you need to strengthen your upper body, you need to strengthen your shoulders, your elbows, and basically these the most neglected muscles, especially for women, I believe. This loose flap, which is very hard to work on, but it's very important to keep it working, especially when you're going to practice belly dance. So we talked about our postural points, we talked about our shoulder being rolled up and back, right? And then we talked about our tailbone being tucked under, our knees are soft, and our feet are less than just about hip width apart. This placement will change depending on what we're doing with what kind of movement we're looking to achieve. So then we talked about our arm positions, position 1, position 2 and position 3. Then we talked about hip hits, which was basically strengthening and bending of knees. This was hip hits. Then we talked about hip twists, which was this. Now another thing that can happen with a hip twist is that you can do it in transition. So there is a movement. You're going to move with your hips twisting. So anytime you want to do that, let's say you want to move in this direction. So you started twisting your hips, you start moving in this direction. This toe would be pointed. It's called a point. Your hip continues to move. Okay, and this leg is very straight and the toes are pointed. Now you want to transition. So now this foot is pointed, it's in a point. Your hip is still twisting. This knee is relaxed. This is how you transition. So practice this. Practice if the rest of your body, your head and shoulders and everything else is not moving as much. There will be some translational movement, but it shouldn't be a lot. Like your hands should not be moving with your wrist like this. Neither should your feet for that matter. Okay, so you're trying to limit the movement just to the hip twist. So that was a recap of last week. This week we have a lot of items on the list. We are going to talk about hook turns. So they involve a lot of footwork, which is why I've taken off my chacos. We're going to do a full hook turn and a half hook turn. Then we are going to work on shoulder accents. Anytime you move abruptly, that's called an accent. So we're going to work on shoulder accents at slow, medium and fast pace. We're going to talk about chest and shoulder shimmy, which is basically a development from chest and shoulder accent. Then we're going to practice leaning forward while we're doing a shimmy. Then we'll do some other footwork of moving front and back and how to move sideways. Okay, so let's start with hook turn. A hook turn basically looks like this. You are standing in this position, now you want to turn. If you want to do a half hook turn, you will turn 180 degrees. If you want to do a full turn, you will turn 360 degrees. So the idea is, this is my right foot, my left foot. So I take my right foot, I place it slightly behind my left. I'm on the ball of these feet. And now it's just a transference of weight. So now this foot is flat, this foot is on the ball of its feet, on the ball. So this is a half hook turn. Had I done the same thing, I take this foot here and I turn here. So now the right foot ends piche and you now bring it level. So this is a full turn. I'm sure you've done it in different kinds of dance forms. It's called a hook turn. So you do this is a hook turn. Same thing you could do on the other side. If you want to turn left, you take your left foot forward and you complete this turn. So sometimes it leads to a little bit of gyro toppling kind of effect. So it takes a little bit of work. So because I haven't done it in a long time, so I'm still struggling with it. I've done a lot of half hook turns, but I haven't done a full hook turn yet. Half hook turn, like I said, take your foot around, you transfer the weight from the ball to the other ball and this is a half hook turn, and I'm doing another half hook turn, and I'm completing my 360 degrees. So these were half hook turns and full hook turns. What happens in a hook turn is, what would you do with your arms? So in all likelihood, you would do something called, which is a comb maneuver. So your hands were in position 3. They would come around like this, combing through your hair, and they would go to position 2. Okay? So let's say I have to do a half hook turn. I'm going to turn from this 180 degrees behind to face you. So I was at position 3. I initiate my turn. As soon as I initiate my turn, I initiate my comb also, and I'm here at position 2. Okay? So it's just this. Your hands go, they're up here. They mesh through your hair and come to the side. So this is a comb. Okay? Once again, I was here. Let's say I want to do a half hook turn or a full hook turn. I'm going to do a half hook and I want to turn back. So I go from position 3. I initiate the turn and I end here. Okay? So most hook turns would involve you doing a comb. So you go from position 3 to 2 using a comb. Now let's talk about shoulder accents. So shoulder accents require doing something like this. Okay? So move your right shoulder forward, left goes back, left shoulder forward, right goes back. So this is at a very slow pace. When you start doing this, let's say it was here at position 1. Now let's say I pace it up, it goes. If I were to pace it further, remember, anytime you are pacing up, the size of your movement, the displacement reduces. So I'm pacing it up and the size of my movement reduces. And as you can see, this is also leading to my chest shimmy, which is perfectly okay. I mean, that is exactly what you desired. So you start like this, you did these abrupt slow movements, then you progress to faster movements, and then you went to as fast as you can go. It may take some time. If you can go faster than this, nothing like it. So now your chest and shoulder accent has led to a chest and shoulder shimmy. Your arms can be here, they can be here. Very difficult to do it when your arms are up here. So in all likelihood, you would do a shimmy when your arms are here. Now, you can move forward and back in a shimmy. So, let's say I'm facing this way, my tailbone is tucked under. I was doing this, and then I sped up. Now I want to go forward. My back remains flat. Please do not slouch. Your back remains flat. Your chin will come up slightly. Okay? So, this is what's happening. Your back is remaining flat. You're just going back and forth while you're still doing that chest and shoulder shimmy. Okay? So this is a front and back. You're leaning forward and your chin is also coming outward. And always try and keep a more confident stance. So when my chin sticks out in front of instead of doing this, you appear more confident when you're doing this. And of course, smile. Okay? So this was chest and shoulder shimmy with leaning forward and back. Now we're going to look at some more footwork. Now let's say I want to move forward. So the movement is cross and open. So the foot that opens out will remain straight and point. Now the foot that is point is free to move. So now this will cross and open, and now this becomes point. So this is called a cross and open. Now the same thing can be applied as you're going back. So this goes back, cross and open, cross and open, cross and open, cross and open. Now what happens to your hands while you're doing this. So your hands come up in front of you. The back of your wrist facing each other. So they're positioned this way. They go out to position 2. Go out to position 2. Out to position 2. So when your feet are crossing, your arms are crossing, and as your feet open up, your arms open up. Now we'll go back. So this leg was free and it's point. And as with all principles of dance, choose to look not just straight ahead but maybe at the direction that you're moving in or at the direction of your hand which is coming out. That is up to you. Okay, so this was cross open, forward, and then we moved back, which was cross open back, and you learned how to take your hands. It's very simple. Either palm could be in the front, it crosses and it does this. Now you can also add, when you're crossing, moving forward, crossing and back, you can also add hip hits. So what you can do is, let's say I'm moving and now I do this. And then, so you do a cross, open, cross, open, cross, open, cross, open. The thing to avoid here is your hands would tend to do this when you're doing the hit. You don't want to do that because you would look very mechanical. So delay your arms opening up into this. You can do the hit. Your arms are independent of that movement. So let's say I'm doing this. Okay, because you're saying that those two independent movements are to function simultaneously. Are to function independently, but they're happening simultaneously. But the hits and this should not come together, because then that does not look very clean when you're doing the performance. Okay? So now we've talked about the arm to go from the forward position to position 2 while you're doing this. This brings us to the last thing that we need to do, which is a grapevine, which is a lateral movement. How do we move laterally while still facing forward is the same as cross open, except that in this the movement continues. Okay, so we do one cross open forward wala, one cross open backward wala. So let's say I want to move, this is my right, I want to move to the left. So my right foot will come forward, left opens, right goes back, left opens, and it is in a point. Remember, any foot which is in a point now will have the first chance to move. So now I have to move in that direction. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. It's the same foot that started the travel. It could be an 8-step grapevine, it could be a 12-step grapevine also. But right now, for the restriction of space, we're doing a 4-step grapevine. So I want to move from my right to my left. Foot goes here, forward, cross, back, open, cross, open, cross, open, cross, open, cross, open. Now you have to understand that it's not just your foot that is moving. Your body will also tend to move with your feet. So let's say I was here. The moment I want to go to the left, my right foot comes forward and crosses over. My body would also tend to move. I should not fight it. So I will let it move. And then when I open, it's gonna do this when I take my foot back. So I should let the body glide in the direction that my foot takes the body. Now when my foot was pointed here and I bring it from left to right, my body is also going to angle about 45 to 50 degrees to the right side, and I should let it do it. Then it opens and then it goes in the opposite direction, and I should let it do it. Okay? So this is a grapevine, and your grapevine is nice and graceful if your body is able to move alongside the axis that your leg is taking you in. Okay, so you're not fighting the axis. Now what hand movements do you do with the grapevine? It's the exact same thing as you would do in the cross open. जो आपने ये किया था, यही चीज now you will slow it down. So instead of the 2-step thing that you were doing here, now you're going to break it over 4 steps. You're going to elaborate it for 4 steps. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the hand movement has to be very fluid. You do not do these. Okay? So practice the grapevine, do it as slowly, and then when you are in a position to pick up pace, then you pick up pace. But until that point, do it slowly. So that's the last part of lesson number 2.